Hello there. What's going on, everyone? Hoping you're all having a fantastic day. My name is Nathaniel Tapia, the future dictator of all mankind. Fingers crossed. As you could see from the title of the video, I just wanted to talk about my movies. I've enjoyed watching these Blu-ray collection videos from all of my favorite reviewers and from reviewers that I hadn't even heard of. I find it kind of relaxing. It's fun to hear people's quick thoughts on a bunch of different movies. And I wanted to throw my hat into the ring. So yeah, I don't have too much to say. As you can tell from the title, I don't actually have Blu-rays. I have DVD. When I started collecting a few years back, I started with DVDs. And while I could afford to start buying Blu-rays now, unlike back then, I already had such a collection that I couldn't really justify spending all of that money to replace everything. So I'm happy with my DVDs for now. I've been very blessed from the Lord to be able to accumulate a pretty solid collection. So let's get started. Well, we're starting this off with a banger, 12 Angry Men. This is not only my favorite black and white movie, this is my second favorite movie of all time. I think everything about this movie is genius. From the script to the performances to the cinematography, it all works together to create a movie that I think is just as thrilling as any recent superhero flick. 2012, a movie that I am embarrassed to own. Look, this is not good. This movie's very dumb. It has lots of dumb scenes and dumb moments. However, I love it. It's definitely a guilty pleasure. Back when I was a kid, I watched a lot of Storm Stories with meteorologist Jim Cantori. I was a weird kid. But because of that, because of my early fascination with weather, disaster movies have a very special place in my heart. And 2012 is just the crown jewel of disaster movies. I think it was Roger Ebert who I think said it best, that this is just a very satisfying, knows what it is kind of movie. And if you go into it expecting a dumb, fun disaster movie, you're gonna get a dumb, fun disaster movie. I've seen this 1,000 times, and I'll probably see it 1,000 more. Hopefully, I can be redeemed among the art house crowd watching this by the fact that I own movies like Adaptation. This is a great little indie movie starring Nicolas Cage, and I would say he gives the best performance of his career in this. It's a very unique little film, and I definitely recommend checking it out. Airplane, the most recent film I purchased, it's still in its packaging. This is a hilarious comedy. There's so many good bits in this. There's a reason that this has stayed in the cultural consciousness for as long as it has. One of the fun things about watching all of these Blu-ray collection videos is that it's cool to see what people's childhood movie is. For some, it's The Sandlot, some it's The Lion King. For me personally, it's gotta be Disney's Alice in Wonderland. I watched this movie so much as a kid. It's one of the most important films in my development as a human. It helped define how I love stories, how I love characters, humor, aesthetics. And I just watched this like a few weeks ago, and it was still so much fun. This movie has a very special place in my heart, and I'll always own a copy of it. All the President's Men, a movie that harkens back to a time when the Fourth Estate actually meant something. No movie has quite been a gut punch like Apocalypse Now. This is a brutal movie that left me speechless after I saw it. But it's phenomenal. It's the best war movie ever. If you haven't seen this, definitely don't watch this at a party or anything. This is a good somber movie to watch and reflect on war and sacrifice, and it's phenomenal. Definitely check out Apocalypse Now. Do it now. So I'm going to ignore the several elephants in the room and just talk about how much I love the movie Baby Driver. I love its action. I love that it's like a pseudo-musical. It has all of Edgar Wright's flair and humor and just the fun tone of all of his films. And this is also a special one because it was the first Edgar Wright movie I ever saw in the theaters. Beauty and the Beast, another great Disney movie. This was back when Disney still cared about their DVD releases, so it has like a slipcover and like bonus features with a second disc. It's a great release. And yeah, this is another really great childhood movie. Back in the day, I think it was in the 5th grade, I did at a talent show a performance, an a cappella performance of Be Our Guest. Yeah, and God willing, there is no more footage of that anywhere to be found on the planet. Birdman, or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance. This is a movie that is heralded for its cinematography. If you don't know, this film is shot to look like it's all in one take. And that's amazing. It's an amazing part about it, and it shouldn't be overlooked, but it should also not come in the way of recognizing the fantastic script and brilliant performances that accompany the movie as well. This is an amazing, amazing movie. It absolutely earned all of its Oscars. When my Nana introduced me to the Bronx Tale, A Bronx Tale, she described it as a movie that reminded her of where she grew up. She grew up in New York in the Bronx. And it makes a lot of sense to me because this movie strikes me as super genuine and super well realized. Like, it seems like a person's life. And it's supposed to be based off of Robert De Niro's childhood. This is actually his directorial debut. It says it right here in little letters. I don't think I didn't bring that case to where the camera was. But anyways, this is one of the most underrated movies that I own. Not enough people talk about this, and I think it's really, really great. Definitely check it out if you can find it anywhere. This is like an old, one of those old cardboard DVDs. So I'm not sure how widely available this is anymore, if this is the copy that I was able to find. Good luck! The Cabinet of Dr. Kalargi. I hesitate to call this my favorite silent film, just because I haven't seen a ton of silent films yet, but I really, really love this. It's so much fun. It's really creative. It's a great little horror movie. It has an awesome, awesome twist ending, and I adore this cover art, and I adore that it's a slipcover too. You collectors know me. You feel me on that. The slipcovers are the best. And it's always great when they accompany fantastic movies like this one. Caché. This is probably Michael Haneke's best movie, maybe? It's my favorite of his. I think I've seen 3 of his. There's Amour and Funny Games, and then this one. And this one I really, really loved. I love that it works not only as a very contained thriller and a great story with the great characters that it has, but it also works really well as an allegory for, like, European colonialism and the guilt associated with that. It's a really complex, deep movie with some incredibly realized themes. I know some of you might hear that and be like, oh, is this like a dumb, pretentious movie? It's not pretentious at all. It's just, it's phenomenal. It's a hard movie to describe, but definitely check this out. It's one of the best movies of the 21st century. Well, this is a movie that I do not need to say too much about. So, look, here's the deal. I have a favorite Spielberg movie, but it's not Jurassic Park, or Schindler's List, or Jaws, or Indiana Jones, or any of the other, this guy, like, just shoots out masterpieces like nobody else. My favorite film of his is actually Catch Me If You Can, which I know, again, it's a weird choice, but I just think this movie is so much fun. I love its story. I love its characters. Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hanks give amazing performances. Tom Hanks especially plays out of type in this film, and I think he handles it so well. He's such a great actor. And this is awesome. This is one of those movies that it's both fun and it's intelligent. It doesn't sacrifice being really entertaining and being a great crowd pleaser for also just being a good film in and of itself. This should be, I think, I'm not sure if this is on IMDb TV anymore, which is one of the free streaming services that's been popping up, but go double check that, because if not, this is one that it's a perfect anytime movie, for sure. The Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is another one of those childhood movies for me. Watched this a lot as a kid. I think I saw this in the theaters, probably. I was even Mr. Tumnus in, my sophomore year of high school. We did a performance of this in drama class, and I played Mr. Tumnus, who is a fantastic character and portrayed really well in this movie by Elijah Wood. I haven't seen this in forever, and I'm not even sure. I've looked at the disc recently, and I'm not even sure this will work if I pop it into my DVD player. But I remember it being awesome, so I really do need to check it out again. Citizen Kane, a movie that, in my opinion, is just as good as everybody says it is. This is one of the most brilliantly told, brilliantly structured character studies ever in any piece of media. Back when I was a kid, I did a top 100, it was the 5th grade, I did a top 100 movies list. And it's very embarrassing. I only have the second version of the list still with me in my possession. It has a bunch of crap on there that I don't stand by. Half of the movies I don't remember, and about half that I do remember I don't like anymore. But the movie at the top of that list was actually Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. And while it's obviously nowhere close to my favorite movie anymore, it's not because this movie still isn't really good. This movie is so much fun. And what I love the most about it is that it embraces the fact that it's a cartoon. And it's a cartoon in the best of ways, from its design and its humor and the way that it tells its story. It's just fantastic. If you want to see a really great, really underrated, honestly, animated film that doesn't utilize its animation to see how realistic it can make the backgrounds and how realistic it can make the human characters, this is like the perfect one to check out. It's wildly creative and tons of fun for the whole family. Creed, a movie that's way better than it has any right to be. Yeah, this movie should have been dumb. This should have been a really dumb, terrible film. But they got a great director, they had an awesome script, and fantastic performances. Sylvester Stallone got robbed of an Oscar. Who was the other person? Michael B. Jordan and Tessa Thompson got robbed for nominations. This is a fantastic film. It's the kind of movie that prevents me from saying that all kind of reboot sequels years later are always bad, because this isn't just like good for what it is. It's like, it is way better than it has any right to be. Don't have Creed 2 yet. I didn't love it as much as this one, although Creed 2 is still really good. But yeah, this movie's awesome. I, of course, have the Dark Knight trilogy in this awesome digibook thing release. I love it. It's really cool looking. I appreciate designs and packaging like this quite a lot. This is the best thing DC's ever put out, right? That's like an objective fact at this point, although the Batman looks really good. I'm excited for that. Maybe it'll be just as good as this. One of the best comedies to come out of the last decade was The Death of Stalin. This is a hilarious movie. It's so well realized. It takes this it's one of those historical movies that, while of course, takes creative liberties and tells a story that in real life happened over the course of many months, and tells it like it happened in a couple days, it's one of the most well-realized attempts at that, because it flows so well. It doesn't feel like they're crunching a historical event into a shorter amount of time. And like I said, it's just really, really funny. There's a line in the funeral scene regarding a voucher system. It's one of my it's just one of my favorite jokes, like in any movie ever. It's phenomenal. Definitely check it out. This is on Netflix right now, last time I checked, so it's one you can stream immediately. We'll meet again, don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day. Awesome movie. Bye, buddy. Hope you find your dad. It's Elf. I feel like everybody in my generation, at least most people, tend to really love this movie. This isn't like, a masterpiece or anything. Elf definitely has its problems. I think it has a weak third act. I don't care. This is like another one of those classic childhood movies. I love to watch this around Christmas time. There's so many fantastic moments in this, and Will Ferrell gives a really, really good comedic performance here. It's definitely not for everybody, and if you're not in my generation, I can totally see you thinking this movie's a dumb waste of time. But, keep that to yourself. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I almost got like a really standard DVD edition of this, but like they were out of stock on Amazon, so I canceled my order because it was taking too long. And thank God I did, because I was able to find this really great digibook thing, and it has like this little booklet here, and it's a 2-disc edition with like more bonus features. It's awesome. I'm very pleased to have found this for really cheap on the interwebs. Get back in there. There we go. But anyways, while I get my life together here, and there we go. Perfect. We got it all fixed. That was slightly embarrassing. Pretend you never saw that. Anyways, this is a fantastic movie. I think that this is a better version of Inception. Don't at me. Wait a minute. That's the wrong Spielberg movie. Fantastic Mr. Fox is, of course, fantastic, and it's the first of many Wes Anderson movies you'll see in my collection. If you don't know, Wes is my favorite film director. I love his style, love his symmetry, love his dialogue, just love everything about how he makes movies. And Fantastic Mr. Fox is definitely one of his best, one of his more accessible. Although, I'll be honest, it took me a few watches to really get into this one. I did not love this when I saw it as a kid, and I didn't really love it all that much the second time I saw it as an adult. But the third and fourth times, I really, really fell in love with this movie. This is one of those films that has aged like a fine wine. You know, there are a lot of movie reviewers who are going to be like, oh no, I told you about Fight Club. Well, you know what? I'm going to tell you about Fight Club, because I'm not afraid of some shadowy organization that fights people and blows up buildings. This is America. I'm going to talk about Fight Club whenever The Fly. This is an excellent little monster mash. I think this is my favorite Jeff Goldblum performance. It's really great, really, really dark in the second half. But it's awesome. It's an excellent movie, and I highly recommend you check it out. Forrest Gump is my most anticipated movie ever. I wanted to watch this for so long. And when my mom finally said yes it was the Christmas of 2015, not only did it live up to all my expectations, not only did it become one of my favorite movies ever, but it really opened up the floodgates for me to get into movies. There had been some other films before then. 42 is one of them. There's another movie in the L's that also contributed to my fascination, my growing fascination with movies, and all the movie reviewers I started listening to, like Chris Stuckman and YMS, were starting to knock on that door. Forrest Gump is the one that rammed it open, and I'm not sure if I'd even be doing this video today had I not seen Forrest Gump that night, because in the months that followed, I saw like over 100 movies in like a 3-month time span. And Forrest Gump is kind of the one that started it all, honestly. And I still, some people think this movie's overrated. I disagree. I think this movie is absolutely phenomenal. One of the most brilliantly written characters. I think this is Tom Hanks' best performance. Forrest is a really interesting character to watch and to listen to, because he's not dumb. Forrest is such a difficult character to describe, and it's a great character study on a fascinating individual. If you haven't somehow seen this movie, definitely check it out as soon as you can. Get Out by Jordan Peele. You know, between this and Bo Burnham's 8th Grade, I don't know what's with all of these comedians having these like phenomenal directorial debuts. I don't have 8th Grade yet, obviously. I just went through the E's, but I would say Get Out is better than 8th Grade, as much as I love that movie. And I think this is like a modern day classic. I love what it does with its story and its characters. It's so well written. If it wasn't for a couple of terrible jump scares that are unnecessary and beneath the really genuine intelligence of this movie, I think this would be a perfect 10 out of 10, no question. It's another Wes Anderson joint, and in my opinion, his best one. The Grand Budapest Hotel is his magnum opus. I love everything about this movie. It is so much fun. It has such great sets and performances, and this is my 4th favorite movie ever. I have so much fun every time I watch this. It's a really fun movie to show other people who don't know Wes Anderson's style, because then you get entertaining facial expressions from them, reacting the way a normal person would to a movie like this. It's great. Definitely see Grand Budapest Hotel. I'll be replacing this with the Criterion Edition when it goes on sale again at Barnes & Noble in November. If you're looking for a happy movie that'll fill you with joy and hope and has tons of great humor, Grave of Fireflies is definitely not the movie you want to see. It's a phenomenal film. It's a great Studio Ghibli joint. But the tone of the movie is set. I'm not going to spoil what the first 5 minutes of this movie entails, but let's just say the tone is set pretty effectively right away. I have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 and Volume 2. These are my favorite Marvel movies. I'm not a huge Marvel fan, but nor am I. I don't hate Marvel. I'll always go see their movies. They're fun. They're just not, they don't connect with me as much as other movies do. But these two are really awesome. They're tons of fun. They have great soundtracks, really colorful. I love the characters. I would say, though, that this is the best one. In fact, this is my favorite of Marvel's entire catalog, the last couple Avengers movies included. I know that that's like an unpopular opinion, but I think that not only does this improve upon everything that the first movie did, it has better colors, a better soundtrack, much better villain, and it develops the characters quite nicely. It even performs with gosh, I forget the main Chris Hemsworth's surrogate father's name. But they do a good retconning of him, one of the more effective in a movie like this. But I think this has really great themes, like really well-realized, well-established themes and you don't see that a ton in Marvel movies. And the themes, of course, regard parenting and family and all of that. It's a movie that even its opening scene, with Groot running around as they fight the monster in the background with that awesome song. I love that that's not only just entertaining and funny and cute, but it ties into what the rest of the movie is trying to say. And I wish more Marvel movies were really smart like that. Yeah, no, these are some fantastic films. I cannot wait for Volume 3. If I had to choose a favorite comedy, I'd probably pick Hot Fuzz. Everything about this movie is just fantastic. I love how there's so much humor in the way it's filmed and edited. It's a parody of action movies that not only succeeds in being a great parody, but being a great action movie as well. I think that that's what really is the mark of a true spoof or true parody, is when it not only does a good job making fun of genre tropes, but is just a good genre movie in and of itself. It's my favorite of the Cornetto trilogy for sure, and you may or may not see the other two coming later. I have no original thoughts on The Hunchback of Notre Dame. The things you love are the things I love. The things you don't really care for are the things I don't really care for. It's a movie that I think the internet has like a complete consensus on, and I think that that consensus is just correct. Check it out. It's awesome. Independence Day, another guilty pleasure. This is a movie that, like, it's dumb and it's flawed. I think we've all collectively agreed as a society to ignore that and just enjoy it anyways, because this really is just like the epitome of a dumb, fun movie. It's, of course, a great movie to put on around July 4th. The characters are all really great, even if they're all just stereotypes. Yeah, it's awesome. You want to know what's fun about this Christopher Nolan joint? My mother actually saw this before me. Normally, it's me watching the independent, non-franchise movies first, and then I show it to her. Not usually the other way around. So, you know, good on you, Mom. This is awesome. Watch more movies like this. I love dogs. I love dogs. I love dogs. Everything about this movie is fantastic. I love it. The animation is even better than Fantastic Mr. Fox, which was already really good. It's funny, has a great story, and this was my first Wes Anderson movie that I ever saw in theaters. a movie I don't have to say too much about, Part 2, Electric Boogaloo. Jojo Rabbit! This is my favorite movie of last year. It's so much fun. I love it. I love everything about it. Weird thing about this, though, I got this off of eBay, and I think I accidentally got a pirated copy of it. There's some weird things about the casing, but I think the smoking gun of this being like an illegal copy is the disc. Like, this is definitely like a DVD-ROM, right? Regular DVDs don't have that, like, that bluish gleam. I didn't even know it was possible to... The eBay listing did not say that this was a pirated copy of the film. It just said it was new, and it was for $15. I was like, oh, well, that's a good price. I mean, it works. It works in my DVD player. I'll definitely hold on to this, though, just because that's such a funny story. But if anyone else has a copy like this and this just turns out to be legal, please let me know, because I'm genuinely curious. Another movie I need to say nothing about, Part 3, the extended trilogy. Kiki's Delivery Service. This is an awesome, awesome Studio Ghibli movie. It's a great rainy day movie. It's a movie you can just put on and just relax. I love Kiki. I love the town that she goes to inhabit. It's what Studio Ghibli does very effectively, especially Hayao Miyazaki, one of the greatest living directors today, is create worlds that feel so warm and inviting, and you just want to go in to the universe of the film and just not even go on an adventure, just sit down and talk with all of these really great, really interesting characters. And I think Kiki's Delivery Service is really underrated, honestly. This isn't talked about like Princess Mononoke or My Neighbor Totoro. I think it's better than both of those, to be honest. Knife Out, Knives Out. This is a fantastic film. It's so much fun. It's so well written. It's I don't have too much to say about it other than that it's really, really excellent. Definitely go check this one out. It's a movie that, it's a great party movie, actually. I think this is a great one to have on if you have lots of friends over. As long as they're friends that will, like, shut up and actually watch the film. It's awesome. I'm excited for the sequel. My pick for the most underrated Disney movie would have to be Lady and the Tramp. People are sleeping on this movie. It's really charming, has a really great, or just really great music in general, both the score and the songs. And I think it's really clever in how the dogs interpret the human world and how the humans talk to each other. It's really, really awesome. Definitely check out Lady and the Tramp. Some people clown on me for saying this is as good as it is, but you're wrong, and I'm right, so. La La Land, a movie that almost won Best Picture. Rip. Like 2012 and Independence Day, there's another movie that I have held on to, not because it's good, but because I have fun memories of it. And I know this will be a weird one, Kirk Cameron's Left Behind. When I was a kid, I got really into the Book of Revelations, like the premillennialist viewpoints of that specifically, and I read the first Left Behind book. It was good. I liked it, and this movie's not technically great, but I think for what it is, and for what they tried to do, I think that it's pretty decent, because unlike the new one with Nicolas Cage that's like a horrible abomination that I despise, this movie knew what it was. It knew that it was like, you know, a cheap, you know, Christian political thriller, and I think for what it attempts to be, it does it pretty well. It definitely has its goofy moments, but I think it has also some genuinely good moments as well. If this had like a bigger budget and some more competent people to guide that budget into doing more than just explosions, looking at You 2014 remake, this could have been something really special. I'd love to see somebody try to remake the Left Behind series again, because they are really interesting stories. The Lego Movie was the best animated film of the decade, don't at me. The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, another solid Wes Anderson film, probably one of my least favorites of his catalog, but like, you know, it's still fantastic. You know, a bad Wes Anderson movie is still, you know, a fantastic film. And this isn't even bad Wes Anderson movie. It's really well done. I love the little submarine and the boat design. Bill Murray gives a really good performance. It's great. I need to rewatch it though. It's been a hot minute. Life of Pi was a movie that felt like an experience to me. And it's one of the first movies that felt like an experience. It's a movie that really opened my eyes to what film can be and how I can be totally sucked into a world and its characters. I know this is almost like a weird one to pick. It was my favorite movie when I saw it, and like Holly with a Chance of Meatballs, it's nowhere near my favorite movie anymore. But this movie does mean a lot to me, and so I'll definitely, and it's still like, you know, it's not like Left Behind or 2012, a movie that I don't stand behind as an actually good film, because this is an actually really good film. It's just my holding on to it does have a lot more to do with sentimental value than its quality. I wasn't sure what I was expecting when I saw Little Miss Sunshine, but this movie's bonkers. Like, it's really bonkers. Like, this is almost deceptively bonkers, because you see a poster and you see a trailer and you see a clip and you think that maybe this will be just kind of like a really solid, like a family adventure movie. You know, there's tons of those. Family go on vacation. That's a very stock Hollywood archetype plot. But this movie takes that and kind of films it like a regular movie, but then gives it the plot of like a Wes Anderson or a Edgar Wright film. And I think it works really, really well. The ending, or not necessarily the ending, but the part with the dance sequence where the little girl finally performs, it's something else. This whole movie, it's just something else. So my great-grandmother loved penguins, and that's a love that I myself inherited, and no movie does a better job of explaining why penguins are fantastic than March of the Penguins. This is not just one of my favorite documentaries, but it's one of my favorite movies ever. The gratuitous sex scene is a bit much, as well as all the child death. But other than that, this movie's really awesome. It amazes me that these filmmakers were able to get all these shots and all this footage in the middle of Antarctica's winter, one of the harshest, most terrible winters on Earth. It really is a mind-blowing movie in that regard. And ignore the fact that I seem to be filming at a completely different time. Just ignore that. It's not like I filmed the video for March of the Penguins and then accidentally deleted it when I went to go edit it. I'm not that dumb. The Martian. This was a movie that I expected to either be really boring or, based upon the poster and his shattered helmet, really dumb, and it turned out to be neither. This movie was a ton of fun. I went to see it in the theaters just to hang out with friends because everybody was going to see that, and I left really happy that I spent money on it. It's one of my favorite movies of 2015 still, to be perfectly honest. Mary and Max. This is a movie I probably wouldn't have seen or purchased if it wasn't for the reviewer whose merch I'm currently shilling. This is a great stop-motion film. It's from Australia, has Philip Seymour Hoffman, and it's really uniquely designed. It has a great story. Pretty simple. So yeah, definitely check this one out. The ending had my jaw dropped to the floor. I think that this is a brilliantly told story with a well-realized framing device. Everything about this is masterful. Memento. $1 Million Baby, another really great boxing movie, and actually my favorite sports movie of all time. And this is one where the performances didn't get shunned at the Oscars. Morgan Freeman and Hilary Swank turned in some brilliant performances, and they got their statues for it. People told me this movie was boring before I saw it, and it's definitely slow, but slow doesn't necessarily mean bad or boring, and this is a really great story with a really... Well, we all know the emotions that the ending makes you feel. Misery. This is an awesome Stephen King adaptation. Kathy Bates delivers a performance that's so good that, frankly, she doesn't need to deliver another good one again for the rest of her life, and she'll still be a great phenomenal actress. Just definitely check this out. It's a great movie to watch on a rainy day, I would say. Although, if you don't like body horror, there is a scene involving a sledgehammer that you might want to clamp your eyes shut for. Monsters, Inc. I love Monsters, Inc. This is another great childhood movie. I don't need to say too much about it. You all know how good this is. One thing I will say, though, is that the opening credits are so much fun. The animation, the music. I wish movies would try in their opening credits like this more often, because it's so memorable and it sets the tone perfectly. That's a weird thing to praise, but I'm a weird person, so, you know, get over it. Moonrise Kingdom, another great Wes Anderson film. Probably his most accessible. I would say if you haven't seen a Wes Anderson film, this would probably be the perfect one to start with. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. This is not a perfect movie. I would say that, like a lot of older movies, it does meander quite a bit in more than a few areas, but I don't care. I still love this movie. I love James Stewart's performance. I love its plots. I love its ending. Like, for reals, that speech by Mr. Smith near the end, it gives me chills every time I hear it. I absolutely hate, though, this release. No effort was put into anything. There's no special features. The menu is just a jingle for the DVD company. But it's a good transfer, so, you know, it gets the job done. My Life as a Zucchini. This is a little stop-motion film from France. I'm just going to say France, because I think that's where it's from. It's really charming, really underrated, very cute, although there are some things in this movie, specifically near the beginning, that are very dark. It all jives together very well. Nothing feels like out of place or tonally inconsistent. It flows quite nicely. And it's only like an hour and 2 minutes, right? Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, an hour and 8 minutes. So this isn't even like that much time in your day. Plus, it's on Netflix, so definitely see. You're missing out if you're missing out on My Life as a Zucchini. A really good English dub as well. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, another classic movie. One of the greatest ensemble performances really ever. The whole cast does such a great job here. And Nurse Ratched is one of my favorite villains because she's so diabolical, but she's subtly diabolical. She's not like this over-the-top crazy lunatic. The evil things that she does are so just... They're quietly evil. They're subtly evil, and I love when a director shows restraint like that. But he still gets his point across. You don't like sympathize with Nurse Ratched at all, or think she's doing a good thing. No, you think she's a bad person, but not because she's a cartoon character. I wish more movies would do things like that with their villains. Hey, looky there! It's Guillermo del Toro's magnum opus, Pan's Labyrinth. Everybody loves this movie, I think. Parasite! This is such a great movie. I'm so glad this made so much money. I'm so glad that this won all of the Oscars that it did. It deserved its Best Picture win no matter what the normies tell you. Sometimes God has had me see a movie at just the right time. And earlier this year, when I was struggling with existential dread as I move into adulthood, Patterson is just what I needed to see. It's a movie that's not only really well acted and has just a beautiful flow to it as you follow the week in the life of this married couple, but it shows you that not only is there good in the mundanity and the routine of life, but there's beauty in it, there's profound joy in it. And if you're struggling existentially, if you feel like, you need something, you don't just want something more, but you need something more to be happy, definitely check out Patterson. I think that it's a really, really helpful movie in that regard. The Prince of Egypt. This is the most underrated movie ever. I think so, at least. This movie does not get talked about enough, and it's like an actual masterpiece. I mean, the soundtrack alone, Hans Zimmer helped with that. I've been jamming to that a lot over the last couple weeks. Is so well done, and it's the perfect adaptation of this story. The animation is gorgeous. Everything about this movie is pretty close to perfect, and I would like to see this get a little more notoriety than like the Despicable Me movies. And Josh Keefe did a really good video on this film where he pointed out the awful tragedy that is the Blu-ray release. It looks like the cover looks like crap. The reviews on the product itself said it was a terrible transfer. And it really depresses me that a movie as good as this has almost been just forgotten by the general public and by its studio. Come on, guys, let's work together as a society to give The Prince of Egypt the attention and respect that it so deserves. Princess Mononoke, definitely one of Ghibli's finest. I love its like technology versus forest theme. It's really well done. I think it's actually pretty complex and isn't just as simple as some, you know, cheesy after-school specials often portray that fight. It's definitely one of Ghibli's finest for sure. I'm a little irritated it didn't come with a slipcover, but I'm happy to have the movie. Another movie I don't need to say anything about, Part 4, the fourth one, is always a bore. That doesn't work. Raging Bull, another great boxing movie with amazing performances. I feel like boxing has like a monopoly on like not just good sports movies, but like phenomenal sports movies. No, I love this. It's a lot darker than the other. I mean, $1 Million Baby's already pretty dark, but this is like super dark and depressing. But it's fantastic. It's really well made. One of Robert De Niro's best performances. One of this is Martin Scorsese, right? Yeah, one of Martin Scorsese's best films. If you're wondering what this little like writing under here is, and on the, can't really see that, on the spine, it's the title of the movie written in French because I accidentally bought the Canadian version. Why does the Canadian version have French on its spine and on the front? Because Quebec. It almost irks me slightly since I'm somewhat of a perfectionist about those things, but I'm not going to return it and make some poor Amazon workers' day harder. It's still a great movie, and it has, I think this has some bonus features maybe, and it'll get the job done. I was just cooking something up for you guys here in this pot, and oh look, it's Ratatouille. That was a corny joke, but this is a movie that's one of Pixar's best for sure. Like, that's not even a question. I've definitely been noticing the internet as of late has been heaping praise upon this thing, and it's all very well deserved. It's definitely one of the best movies that its parent company has ever released. So no movie has ever been a bigger pain in my butt to find a copy of to watch than The Road. This was not available to rent on Amazon. This was not available to even purchase a digital copy or a copy like this. And it still isn't from what I understand. It's available on iTunes, but only in New Zealand. It wasn't on any streaming services, even to purchase, nothing, not Vudu or whatever. And the only copy that got uploaded to YouTube was missing a part in it. But then finally, like a month and a half ago or something, I think it was, somebody uploaded a full version to YouTube, and I was finally able to see this movie. I've been wanting to see it forever. I love the production design and the story. It's really dark and grim, but it's really satisfying and really well made. Once I saw it, I went onto eBay and it cost me $20 to get this, but there weren't a ton of listings for the DVD of this. So I'm glad I got this because it's a rare one to find. It's super underrated and definitely one to check out. I'd say look for it at your local library, but this movie, at least with my local library, it wasn't there either. And not just in the library I went to, but like in the system for the county I live in, there seemed to just be nothing. So, Royal Tenenbaums. This is my third favorite of Wes Anderson's filmography. I got the Criterion version for really cheap at Bookman's out in Phoenix. One of my birthdays, I think it was 2017. It's a great release. It has 2 discs. It has this awesome like map thing of the Tenenbaum house. I love cool releases like this. It's perfect for a nerd like me. Funny story about this one, though. I actually first heard about this movie when I was really young. I think it was like early middle school. I was following this list from the school library journal, I believe it was, of the top 100 picture books. Not picture books, top 100 children's novels. And a clip of this movie was in their listing from the Mixed Up Biles of Mrs. Brazzerfield. I read that book a long time ago. I don't remember the title. But like I said, there was a clip of that in the listing, and I watched it, and I loved it. I loved the style and the humor of it. And there was a full version on YouTube. But I was a good little boy. I looked it up. I saw that it was rated R. And I didn't watch it. I didn't even watch it in secret. And this was a movie that I was waiting to watch literally for years. And it definitely lived up to the hype. This is an awesome movie. Samsara. This is my favorite documentary. Definitely go into this one with an open mind, because it's not, this movie is essentially just a bunch of beautiful shots accompanied to music. It doesn't have nothing to say. It has a lot to say, actually, if you pay attention to the order in which footage is shown. But it's not like a 3-act structure. There's no dialogue, no characters. But please, please, I beg of you, step outside your comfort zone with movies and go watch this. And watch this on the best screen that you can, because it's beautiful in every way. Saving Mr. Banks. This is an awesome live-action Disney movie. Probably my favorite of all of the live-action stuff they've done. Tom Hanks and Emma Thompson give great performances. I love that the Disney Corporation, for as terrible and monstrous as they can be sometimes, was willing to show a very, it of course expunges Mr. Disney of certain things he did. But in this movie, he still smokes, he still drinks, or well, it doesn't show him smoking, but it implies it heavily. But he still drinks, he swears, he's kind of backstabby more than once to PL Travers. And I really hope that they discover their balls even more in that area soon, because I love to see honest portrayals of men and women that are lionized in our culture. I think movies like this are actually kind of important in that respect. So yeah, definitely check this one out. This is another one, a movie I would describe as very underrated. And speaking of underrated, Seeking a Friend for the End of the World. This is a movie that nobody talks about, and you should, because it's really funny and really heartfelt. It has like one of the most perfect fitting soundtracks that I've ever seen, or I guess ever heard in any movie ever. So often movies kind of just throw in songs that just kind of fits, or they don't at all. But this movie uses its music so effectively and in all the right places, and it's awesome. This is a movie that I had seen the ending before I actually saw the whole movie, and it still almost made me cry. It's a really, it's weird describing this as like a powerful, emotional movie, and you might disagree with me if you see this, but that's where I stand. Oh, looky, it's another one of the Cornetto trilogy, Shaun of the Dead. This is like a bona fide modern classic, and it should be. Like any good film goer, I of course have seen and loved The Shawshank Redemption. This is the top film on IMDb. It's been the top film for, gosh, I don't even know how long. And I think it deserves it. I think this will go down as one of the great stories ever put to film. It's so well done, so well acted, and it just has it's one of those that just has a great story. That's so entertaining to watch play out. And I mean, I don't have too much to say about it that probably hasn't already been said by all of the other people who love it. Definitely go check this one out. It's a must-see. My favorite Stanley Kubrick movie and my favorite horror movie are both The Shining. The Shining's awesome. I love the hotel. Hotels need to be the backdrop and the setting for more horror movies, because they're very effective in being these very big, mysterious places. And I mean, that's just one great aspect of this movie. The Shining is a masterpiece and heralded as one of the best movies ever made because it is. I, of course, have The Sixth Sense. It's really, really great. Even if you know the twist, which you probably do, it's still really great. It still works. It's really effective. Just watch it. I promise. It's awesome. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. This is easily my favorite superhero movie ever made. It has great emotion, great comedy, incredible animation, a wonderful, fun story, some really exciting action sequences. It's everything that I want a superhero movie to be. My favorite movie of all time has got to be Spirited Away. It's just everything I love in a story. It's so creative, it's fun, it's magical, it has great animation, great characters, great character designs. My favorite movie growing up, like I said, was Alice in Wonderland, and this is like a better version of that with a more cohesive story. And I got to see this on the big screen earlier this year before all the theaters shut down. I'm so glad I got that opportunity. I'll go see this in the theater anytime that it comes out. Bam, 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 bam. Suspiria. This is a great Italian horror movie from the 70s, I think? Yeah, 1977. And it's just really satisfying all around, in both its scares and its characters and its ending. Haven't seen the remake yet. I'm excited to see it. And, but if you have just seen the remake and you haven't seen the original, definitely check out the original because it's really good. 3 Billboards outside of Ebbing, Missouri. This is one of the tightest scripts I've ever seen in any movie ever. It's really well written. Definitely check it out. It's one of the best movies of 2017. You want to know some truth in this universe? This is a great movie, classic movie. And Atticus Finch, the man on the cover here, he is a boss. Yeah, those are all facts. I, of course, have the Toy Story movies. Classic films, important films. I don't have Toy Story 4 yet, although, unpopular opinion, I actually think Toy Story 4 is the best. It's better than all 3 of these. Please don't hunt me down and kill me. V for Vendetta. This is pretty awesome. A great movie. Great little political movie. I need to rewatch this for a 3rd time. I loved it the first time. I didn't love it all that much the 2nd time. I had some real problems with this, but I already want to rewatch it again. So I'm looking forward to doing that, and perhaps this movie will return back to my good graces upon my 3rd revisit. The Truman Show. This is one of the most brilliant film concepts ever. It's so original. Reality shows weren't a thing before The Truman Show. They weren't a thing yet. Not to say that The Truman Show invented reality shows. But it's a concept that's very well realized, and this whole movie is just excellent all the way through. Jim Carrey's best performance for sure. And it's in my top 10 favorite movies ever. I could watch this movie 100 times. Watership Down is a weird movie to describe because it's an animated adventure film about bunnies finding a new home, but it's not for kids. I would say that this movie would be boring for kids. And in the scenes where they wouldn't be bored, they'd be scared by some of the character designs and a lot of the violence. Yeah, this is a violent bunny movie. It's definitely one of the more unique films I've ever seen, and I really loved it. It's a great Criterion release, too. And I know some of you are probably looking at me weird, like, Nathaniel, you're a 22-year-old man. Why do you have a movie about bunnies finding a new home? Just go watch it, and then you'll understand why I have to own this, because it's fantastic. Before we reveal the next movie, drum roll. Why am I doing a drum roll? Why am I doing a drum roll? Obviously, because it's Whiplash, the best movie of the 2010s. I adore this. This is my third favorite movie, for sure. I don't have too much to say about it because everything that needs to be praised about this movie has already been praised by just everybody everywhere. But yeah, another movie that is just as good as everybody says it is. Back when I was a kid, I always wanted to see a movie where all of my favorite cartoon characters came together into like a story. That's never happened, it probably never will happen, but the closest that we ever came was, of course, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. This case is a little scuffed up, but it's a really cool release. Let me show you. It's 2 discs, it's a 2-disc special edition, and it has like these pictures of Jessica Rabbit and Roger Rabbit like signed off. Has a fun little booklet. I love stuff. As I've said repeatedly in this video, I love it when companies put a lot of effort into their releases like this. Because they're really fun collector's items, and I wish more movies would have releases like Who Framed Roger Rabbit did. But we're off to see the Wizard, the Wonderful Wizard of Oz, because here he is, the Wizard of Wiz, and ever a wisdom. Rounding out the Cornetto trilogy, we of course have The World's End, another movie with French on its spine and its front, because I got this used at FYE. It's like a DVD store in a mall close to my house, and it's a French-Canadian version. World's End's awesome. It's definitely my least favorite of the Cornetto trilogy, but it's still, I mean, like with a least favorite Wes Anderson film, a least favorite Edgar Wright movie is still something really special. And the scene in the frickin' bathroom, you know what I'm talking about if you've seen this movie. That's like one of my favorite scenes in any movie ever, for sure. If I were to make a top 10 list, that's instantly probably in maybe the top 5. I don't even know. Definitely check it out. And finally, we have, so I kept this at the end because it's a triple feature, and I wasn't really sure where to put it in the alphabetical order. It's a DreamWorks triple feature with Flushed Away, Chicken Run, and Wallace and Gromit: The Curse of the Were-Rabbit. The first 3, maybe the only 3? I don't know if DreamWorks and Aardman Animation did any other collaborations. But this was their first 3 at least, and I love them all. Wallace and Gromit, I've always loved those guys, and their movie's really good. Chicken Run's one I watched a lot as a kid. I actually had nightmares of the 2 main villains, like, kidnapping me in my sleep. And Flushed Away, I have one of my favorite childhood memories is when my dad was able to get these tickets from his boss at work, where we got to see the movie like before it officially came out in theaters. We took some family friends with us. It was so much fun, and I think the movie's still really funny. And it'll always hold a special place in my heart for that reason. All 3 of these movies really great, really, nothing earth-shattering or mind-blowing, but they're all tons of fun and great movies to just pop in and spend, a rainy afternoon. Well, that's it. That's my DVD collection. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this. I see the view counts on these videos, so I know I'm not the only giant nerd who enjoys watching them. I hope you saw a movie in here you hadn't heard of before, and now you have something to add to your watch list. Yeah, don't have anything else to say. I wish you all the very best. Have a wonderful day, and God bless.